Hi, beautiful souls. This is Sadhana. Welcome. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to take you on a bit of a journey through the Soul Trees Oracle cards. This is a beautiful, evocative, intuitive, colorful, very special indie Oracle deck. This is the box that it comes in. Everything is very high quality about this deck. It is $35 US, and at the time of filming this, it's on sale, so it's a really good time to pick up this deck if you don't already have it in your collection. Came out in 2016, and it's available on Allison's website, soul-trees.com. The cardstock is absolutely beautiful, and you can definitely riffle shuffle this deck. It just is, even though it's a really large deck, it's 80 cards. It's just the perfect size, and it feels so good in hand. So the card backs are really beautiful, and you get the real sense that this is an intuitive deck just by the abundance of purple that you see on this deck. So you have the keyword on the bottom, which is in a translucent border, which so it doesn't take away from the artwork at all. And just have a look at this gorgeous, gorgeous palette of color. It does come with a little guidebook. So this is the little white book that it comes with. And so you get a short description for each of the cards. And you can see here's the play one. Some of them are a little longer than others. But if you do need something to refer to, you can refer to this little white book. There are 7 chakra cards that come with the deck, and they are extremely beautiful and at the same time really quite simple. So we don't have any Sanskrit to deal with. We just have the traditional colors for the chakras, the chakra name, and the physical point on the body where the chakras are located. I do not include these in the deck when I'm doing readings. I use these as significator cards. So for example, if I am doing a reading trying to kind of work with and uncover what's going on with family or security or something to do perhaps even with health, with the root chakra, I might use this as a significator in the middle of the reading. I do have several other decks that have chakra cards, but there's something about this artwork that is just really, really beautiful, and so I keep these ones handy. Another reason that I do not include them in the deck is that there are cards. There are cards that not replace, but cards that do the same kind of work as the chakra cards. So for example, this gratitude card. Gratitude is one of the most important medicines of the heart chakra. So this card kind of takes that place for me, and that's why I removed the chakra cards themselves. And so for example, this one, right, the blue color, speak your truth, is one of the major issues of the throat chakra. And so that, does the trick there. Here's one as an example for the third eye or even the crown chakra, so psychic knowing. So we don't really need to have those extra 7 cards in. At least that's the way that I work with them. These cards I use alongside other tarot decks where these colors are going to kind of pull something out of the tarot deck. Especially cards that have a lot of white space. These look really great with them. So I thought I would go through the whole deck and just give you some of my insight into the cards. And I may read a little bit from the white book, so you can have a taste for some of Allison's descriptions as well too. This deck includes challenging cards as well as cards of comfort, and you can see through the choice of color in the trees. You can bring in chakra associations as well too. So the red coming up from the ground is often associated with the root chakra. And one of the issues with the root chakra is stepping away from family, stepping away from community, and stepping out on your own. And so you have that insight with color. Or you can just simply read it with one of my crystals is falling apart on the table here. So the challenging cards, or some of the challenging cards, the trees are, you can see here, the trees have no, the trees are either in a challenging weather condition, or they have no leaves on them, or they have no flower on them. And not all of these words would indicate a challenging card, but I think the fact that the tree is in somewhat of a stressful situation, that's drawn stressfully, it's a reminder that inspiration doesn't always come quickly, and it's not always easy. So there's this kind of deep, subtle layer between the keyword that's on the bottom and the way the tree has been drawn itself. I'll see if I can illustrate that more clearly as we go through. And I've put some of these more wintry trees on the top of the pile. The guidebook is in alphabetical order, so it's easy to reference if you need to go to that. And so as we go through these first few cards where there's no flowers or leaves on the tree, or the tree looks like it's in a challenging seasonal position, what do you gain, or what do you pick up on the fact that the tree looks like it's, in this, it looks like it's in stress. So initiative, right? Initiative is a beginning. There are no leaves. There are no flowers. You need to step forth, and you can see that tremendous amount of passion and energy in the tree. And so maybe one of those colors is speaking to you, and so you can speak from that color, and maybe that's where the initiative will come through or come from. I decided to take a moment to regroup and to reorganize the cards so that this would be more than a walkthrough, because I really wanted to give you a solid review of this deck, other than saying that, yes, it has really beautiful colors, and that if you understand the chakras, you can kind of bring that dimension in. It's amazing, like high quality production. The cards are beautiful for shuffling and handling and all of that. But I wanted to bring something else to your attention. And it's something that I intuitively thought about this deck, but I hadn't actually gone through this exercise. So I wanted to sort the cards into common themes and potentially put them into themes according to chakra to see if that was even possible, according to the kind of how I view the chakras and how I work with the chakras. And so I'm just going to kind of take you through my piles, as opposed to taking you through a walkthrough one by one of each of the cards. So let's just have a look at this first chakra card. So the color is red. And this is one of the most beautiful cards in the deck. She has this gold paint. I believe it's the only card in the deck with this gold paint. And then also have a look at the shell in the background, that swirling energy behind the tree, that vortex of energy. And then go deep into your roots, into your foundation, and just kind of experience this tree. It's really, really a beautiful, beautiful painting. So the cards that I selected for the root chakra, if I fan these out for you, you'll see they're not particularly red or brown or gold. There's quite a diverse color of, there's quite a diversity in color. So I think there's two things you can do with this deck. One is you can take cues from color as it emerges in certain trees, because you're going to find a little bit of red in lots of different trees. And so you can speak and draw lines and patterns toward the root chakra, and the interactions are really important as well too, because the chakras never behave in isolation. Their deficiencies, their excessiveness, their initial stimulation, or if they're just in a period of kind of complete disidentification where they need to be completely tuned out for one reason or another. We go back and forth. We don't necessarily in a linear fashion move from awareness of a lower chakra to a higher chakra. We're always, like everything in life, fluctuating back and forth. And so why did I choose these cards to associate with the root chakra? Well, the beginning is kind of an obvious card. We emerge from the family, and there's this sense, I know I've referred to this before, maybe, I don't know if I said it on a video, but if you have ever watched the movie The Croods is a really awesome movie to understand how the chakras can evolve and how we can move from that sense of almost danger and overprotection, that helicopter kind of parent, the fear of leaving the hometown, the fear of leaving the village and stepping forth. And in the journey of the Taro, the fool has, stepped away from the cave. He's stepped away from his family and just really kind of embracing that. And so these are the cards that I stuck to kind of represent the root chakra. So that kind of fear and that inability to step forward, I see as this card here stuck. And these may very well differ from how you see them, and I may see them on a different day, but I just wanted to kind of share with you this insight that as I've been sorting these cards over this past hour. So that, and then the emergence as the break free. So that realizing that we can step forward, and it takes a great deal of courage. And you'll see a lot of the cards that I picked for the third chakra have that the surgence of energy that you need, the courage you need to break free. We have a little bit of red here, which is awesome. So that kind of speaks to what I was talking about. And then there's this sense of trust. So this is really, I see as your Fool card, stepping forth and really kind of moving into a place of trust. Now in this deck, we have a lot of trust cards as well too, and we'll get to that in a bit. So emerging, so that's kind of just beginning, to peek out through the cracks in the cave. Whatever your cave is, that stepping forth and really learning to be on your own. The other aspect of this chakra, which I didn't really investigate with the cards, is that once we step out and break free, there is this piece that is afraid to go back because we're going to get stuck in the old ways. And so that's what happens as we are out in the world and we build this confidence and we build this kind of energy. And some of these cards here could be that cycling back. So we've come back. We may have stayed for a shorter period of time. Think about this as the kids in their 20s that come back and stay with their parents. They regroup and then they step out again into the new world. And metaphorically, we all do that, many, many times in life. So those were some thoughts I had about that. And then I was thinking about, okay, so let's look at the second chakra card. Beautiful card as well too. And I love the way that she's painted the wheels, the vortexes of energy in the background amongst the tree itself. So it's not separate from the tree. It is part of the tree. And so this energy that we call the chakras is this place in the body where we have thousands and thousands and thousands of lines of energy intersecting. And that's why those parts of the body are stimulated and affected so very, very deeply. So the further we go away from the spine, I won't say weaker, but the easier those less significant chakras are to navigate. So these are a few that I chose here, and I'll briefly explain why. Maybe I can weave a story for you. Honor yourself, treat yourself, celebration, which looks very much like a Three of Cups card, and I can speak to that. Birth, create, passion. Passion could easily go into the third chakra as well too. But let's go back here and just kind of have a little conversation about these cards. So birth. Naturally, we are born into this third dimensional world through the womb, through the mother's womb. And so birth is where, the energy of, in the second chakra, this is where birth lives. And this just is a beautiful, nurturing card. The blossoms are it looks like to me, they're about to be blown away in the wind. They're about to be, birthed into the world. We also have a very feminine looking tree here, perhaps seeing the womb in the trunk. There's also this gorgeous purple color here, which connects the whole idea of birth to, another worldly kind of experience. The treat yourself and the honor yourself, to me, is the piece, because in the second chakra, this is where the addictions lie and the excessiveness. And sometimes we have a hard time finding that balance of those things that bring us joy. And there's no joy card, I don't believe, in this deck, because this is where I would put the joy card. That finding balance between those things that we love, our passions, and kind of keeping those passions in check, more as an honoring and a treating of self, and a living in joy kind of energy. And not letting that, and I don't like the word letting, but not allowing that to retreat too far into shadow, into addiction. The reason I placed celebration here is because, again, similar kind of thing. So celebration, you think of Three of Cups, think of that beautiful water energy and what happens when the three cups come together, and just how strong and how ultimately joyful. So perhaps this is the joyful card of the deck. There's also a play card, which can't remember where I placed, but that sense of play could also, live here. And then create, which is very much like the birth card, the birth being more connected to the, the incarnation, the birth through the womb of the mother, and the create being the potential creation of anything, any project, any job, any idea. So this is kind of where that lives and where that percolates until it's ready to be born. So yeah, so that is kind of the few cards that I chose for second chakra. And then I have a whole whack here for third chakra. So Manipura, solar plexus. And you'll see there's quite a few challenging cards here in this pile. The ones without blossoms, the ones without leaves. The Manipura, solar plexus chakra in this deck is quite a soft yellow. And this is a chakra that is very challenging to bring into balance. This is where our will lives. This is where the personality and the ego has a very hard time of stepping into the background. And you can see in this tree this almost the chest sticking out, that rooster kind of that rooster kind of pose. The arms are extended, so we have this beauty of the warrior pose, but there's this sense of pride and bragging and the ego kind of taking over. And so when this chakra comes into balance, that's when we step into trust and things like that. But let's have a look at the cards I've chosen here first. So I've got Teach. It's just such a beautiful card. And look at all the different colors that are there. Okay, I want to come back to that. Adventure. So why have I put that here and not with the first chakra? Resilience. Strength. Initiative. Action. Energy. Confidence. Inner power. And risk. And this could also very much live in the first chakra. It could live in lots of different places, but just for the sake of this exercise, I just decided to put it here. This fiery chakra is very, very easy to get out of balance. And when this chakra gets out of balance, we experience anger and we experience depression. So when anger is turned inward, that sense of all the characteristics of depression can begin to manifest. And so this chakra takes a great deal of energy and bravery to navigate. Sometimes it's hard to switch between languages. And that's another thing I wanted to say too, was that the English language is really inadequate when it comes to expressing emotions. And if we look to a language like Sanskrit or Chinese, or where there's really subtle nuances, and there's many other languages, many of the European languages as well too, we have this more of a poetic sense of language. And what I see in a particular word might not be at all what you see. And so I'm okay with that. And you should be too. So here we have this strength, the sense of inner strength, which is very much about what this picture is here. Standing tall, standing strong physically, standing strong internally. And you can see the green emerging through the tree on the left, right? And that's the heart. That's those really difficult experiences that we've had in the heart. That's the grief leaking down into this tree. And you may or may not, that might not resonate with you, but it's kind of what I see here. So we have this really kind of beautiful power in the quiet, because it's a very, very quiet card, as opposed to resilience, which is, a little bit more of, it's a little louder to me. It's a lot louder, and the strength is quiet, and it's a process. And resilience might be a little bit longer term, and it might be a little more vocal, perhaps. But there's this sense of blossoming coming forth, like the long-term strength is paying off, and you can see those blossoms on the tree. The other aspect about this chakra, in order to purify the third chakra, we have to act. We have to do something about it. We cannot sit in meditation. And the yogis say that the best way to burn through karma is to do karma yoga. And the best way to purify through the third chakra is karma yoga, or seva, or selfless service. And selfless service can be given in lots of different ways. That's why I've put the action card here. It's about stepping into right action. And your right action might be to teach. It might be to share, as long as it's not coming from an egoic perspective. And that's something that we always need to, be in check with. Energy. So that makes sense that that's here, but we could have the energy card anywhere along the way, and you can see how the different colors of this tree are intertwined. And so one of those colors may speak, or it may be reaching out. The branches may be reaching towards a card, and that might draw you into the conversation. Confidence is really important to navigate this chakra. So chakra, we have to dig deep, and so I spoke to that in the strength card. And sometimes we do need to fake it till we make it, and that confidence can come from experience. It can come from an inner fortitude. It can come from arrogance. And so those are really important questions when this card comes up, is what is the source of that confidence? Because the source of the confidence will really help you kind of understand what's going on. Inner power. Isn't that a great card? So that's very much like the strength card, but the colors here are speaking to something a little different. And so I would just encourage you to explore how that feels. And if you have this deck and you are wanting to do a little bit of journaling, you might want to just really reflect on the difference between these two cards. The adventure, stepping forth, stepping out. This could be a reemergence, like a first chakra reemergence, but it also is a sense of action. It's about really embracing everything that you believe in and coming into a place of trust. This card could have been easily 1 or 3. And the same with initiative. But there's a sense of fire in this card, and that's why I wanted to place it here. So you do have to have strength. Initiative really comes from inner belief and inner trust, and I don't think that's emerging from first chakra. I think that's something that's developed through a little bit of time. And there may very well be risk, and risk could also live in the first chakra. But these are just some reflections that I had as I was sorting the cards. And I think that those beginning steps are really, really challenging in their own. And then we kind of move through life. And by the time we get up to the third chakra, there's a lot of regrouping and reflection and reorganization that needs to be done. And so that's why I placed those 2 cards there. So my battery light is flashing. I'm just going to change that and I'll be right back with you. All right, let's move to the heart. So this was the group that I chose for the heart. And you can see quite a bit of green here, which is the more challenging color to work with in the heart. It's the color that lives with us the longest as far as the processing of grief. And that's a really important part of bringing the heart chakra into balance, is to allowing all of those experiences, all of those losses to be sufficiently processed. And so that's what the green color is about. And we often associate it with healing and with nurturing. And that's a very, very, very important aspect of this chakra. One of the medicines for the heart chakra is gratitude. And so whether that is in just counting your blessings daily, whether that's placing a gratitude jar, little slips of paper on your kitchen counter, a gratitude journal. So this is a really important card for the heart chakra. Oh, I didn't show you the heart chakra card. Where is the heart chakra? Here it is. So I know I showed you earlier in the video, but there's the heart chakra. And just have a look at that white branch that's coming up through there. There might be something there that's speaking to you. Okay, so gratitude. Live from your heart. And this is a gorgeous card that has a really strong foundation, acknowledging the green color in the root of the trunk. There's this blue that's emerging, and yeah, it's a very strong tree with a strong foundation. So a very kind of this card feels very well developed. Integration, heal, heart and spirit, love, and compassion. So compassion, of course, is also something that needs to come into balance in the heart chakra. And she's beautifully drawn this with pink. So we have those pink blossoms emerging through the experience of the green. And then we also have that blue flowing through, which is really, really powerful because that is the voice. And that's being able to voice and share your experiences, right? And I spoke to the healing, gorgeous tree. And you see that real kind of Two of Cups kind of energy. You see a lot of different tarot decks that have two trees wound together to share that. And so that unconditional love, regardless, of what color, how the other half is, or the other being is, we wrap ourselves around and we emerge and we grow together and we blossom. And beautiful, beautiful card. Love. Be great if this card said unconditional love. And then integration. So why I put this card here, and you can kind of reflect on this as well as maybe reflect on why this watercolor is all kind of blurred down here. But for me, integration is so that's the hexagram of the Anahat chakra. So we have the upper three chakras and the lower three chakras meeting at the heart center. And so that really is the place of integration and balance. I could also have the balance card is here well too, because there is one. And then the throat. So there's a lot of cards that we could place at the throat. There's a lot of blue cards in this deck. And I just chose these 4 right now. There's several cards that aren't in any particular chakra, and some of them I'm going to look at as shadow of certain chakras. So I chose guidance, communication, truth, and speak your truth. So let's have a look at these 2 first. What's the difference between speak your truth and truth? So there's a sense of inner knowing with the truth. And look at the colors that are emerging. We have the peace and harmony, the pink of the heart. We have the orange that is coming up through all of our experiences with the sacral chakra. And there's this blossoming, these beautiful spring blossoms. And so in our experience through time, we are beginning to move in a completely different way. Move from our truth, to be in our truth, to embody truth. And I think the speak your truth is the winter before that. So the speaking your truth is the beginning to play with and to navigate and to really understand what the throat chakra is about. There is a deep inner connection between the lines of energy of the second chakra, the sacral chakra, the orange, and the blue. And so if this is a challenging chakra for you, I would encourage you to really reflect on those 2 chakras simultaneously. And this is very, very clever how this is drawn with the orange and the blue for these 2 cards. Right? So you could do that with a carnelian in one hand and with your favorite blue crystal, perhaps blue lace agate or something like that in your other hand. And just really kind of meditate on what the connection is there. And I could speak to that for a very long time, but maybe I'm planning on doing some online courses and adding them to my website. And if you've never checked out my website, it's integrativehealingwithsadhana.com. And I am in the process of doing some recordings. So I'm going to be putting some yoga nidras on my website and really kind of expanding to doing some courses. Communication. So communication is a lifelong skill that involves compassionate listening, holding space, speaking from the heart, speaking your truth. So it definitely lies here. Communication is the Vishuddhi chakra. So the throat chakra is connected to the ears and the throat and the voice. And then guidance. So guidance, this could be placed either at the third eye or, you know, this card really could go anywhere, but there's some connection, I think, between the inner guidance and the throat. And this card has a lot of fire in it. Can you see the yellows around each of the branches? And there's green and there's blue. And this is a card of a lot of listening. A lot of listening from a lot of different experiences and a lot of different places. And so I would encourage you, if this came up in a reading next to some different tarot cards, to see what colors are speaking to you. And perhaps that is where the guidance is coming from. Okay. I want to go next, and this is not exactly going to go in order, but I want to go to this pile over here. I don't know if I showed you the throat chakra card. I know I did at the beginning of the video. There's your throat chakra card, which is very, very peaceful. And that swirling blue energy, when you focus on the throat, should feel cool. And that healing, cooling energy will begin to help you work through all of that. Okay, so this group here could live in lots of different places, but I'm just going to kind of speak to some of the things that have come up for me and some of the things that I've studied, and also one thing that I read in the little book. So the trust card, if you notice, the petals, the flowers, have fallen into the tree. So she says in the guidebook that everything is beginning to come into place. Everything is falling into place. So I'm going to come back to that because I have some other comments. And then surrender. So these beautiful, this looks like an old cherry blossom tree or something like that. The blossoms are so gorgeous. Detachment. Release. Allow. Acceptance. And just be. So very similar kind of energy. And again, I encourage you to reflect on the language. Perhaps to choose the card that resonates with you the most if you're doing journaling or you're meditating with these cards. But let's just, I won't belabor the point, but all of these cards here, all of these qualities are reflections of the third chakra in balance. So when that depression, when the anger, when the ego, when the will, when all of that comes into balance, we begin to be that chariot driver who does not need to hold onto the reins so tightly. We move into this place where we allow ourselves to be guided. Okay, so that's why we've got the allow card here. And this is my personal word. And when I am feeling like I am resisting, when I am swimming upstream, this is the word that I bring into my mind, I bring into my meditation, I bring into my breath, and it just works really, really well for me. So that whole sense of trust is about letting go and letting God, or whatever your word is for that, right? Allowing the divine to guide you into walking a little more slowly, and to really feeling that you don't need to be in control any longer. And so a lot of these words are very, very similar, and they might speak to you. So that if there was a negative of this deck, there's a lot of cards that are repetitive, but I believe they're subtly different, and they're drawn differently with different colors. And so they might, in different readings at different times, say different things to you. And to me, surrender is more of a directive. It's coming from a teacher, and sometimes I feel resistance when I hear this word. But not for everybody. Some people feel beauty in this word. It feels very in the in the sense of compassion and forgiveness. So this could very much live in the heart chakra as well too. And we have the 2 heart chakra colors on this card. And the whole healing of the heart space and the idea of forgiveness and all the forgiveness practices, we must remember that in order for something to be forgiven, at one point there must have been a judgment. We must have judged ourselves, or we must have judged an other. And if we let go and we let God, then we do not stand in judgment any longer. And then forgiveness isn't even an issue, because there's nothing to forgive. And so, there's so much to reflect upon. Detachment is also a card that could be placed at the 2nd chakra. So that sense of not being swayed by the senses. So when I was talking about addictions and compulsions and really finding that balance of living in joy and being able to celebrate without going over the edge, is not being attached to the highs of the highs, so we don't hit the lows of the lows. And this card is really beautiful, right? So there's a sense of peace in the heart, as well as the strength of the voice. So this is a big, really big card to work with. Okay, so here's your letting go card. And you can see that strong purple on the bottom, right? So that release needs to come from that strength. And we have the yellow, right, of the Manipura, of the solar plexus. And then when all of that comes into place, we can just be. It's pretty cool, huh? All right, so what is left on the table here? This is a big, big deck. It's a really big deck, and I do want to speak to all the cards, because it was there was a viewer who asked for a complete walkthrough. I don't think she asked for a review, but that's what you're getting. All right, so here we're going up a little higher. So here we're going to 3rd chakra, maybe 6th and 7th chakra. And the kind of school I come from and the way that I teach is that we do all the work in the first 5 chakras. Sorry, we start with the 6th chakra, do lots of work there so that we can help to create clear vision and discernment. And then we go down to the 1st chakra and work up through the 5 chakras, doing different exercises and practices to help activate, purify, and bring into balance those chakras. And then, so if we do all that, there's really nothing to do with the 7th chakra. It's going to clear itself. But these cards, to me, really, really speak to the 3rd eye, to the Agnya chakra. And you can see lots of purple here. And you can see some darkness as well, too. And so let's look at the 2 black cards and maybe reflect upon why they are black and why they are in darkness. Sorry, they don't look great with the black tablecloth behind. And the clarity card has a little more light in it. And the inner voice card, to me, looks completely, the branches are completely white. So this, to me, speaks of the silence and, sorry, what's it called? You close your eyes and you look into the void. You look into the spaciousness. You look into the Chitakash, so that eternal connection between your consciousness, and the greater consciousness. And so these, to me, are black because this is a time, these are your hermit cards. These are your times of reflection and to really begin to listen. And I see this one as the result of this one. Okay, so inner voice and clarity. Then I have, I'll just go through these: intuition, psychic knowing, inspiration, reconnect with spirit, wisdom, awakening, and intention. This is a very, very important card, that an important thought consideration that tends to get forgotten about. And so we can be in all of these practices. We can surround ourselves with beautiful crystals. We can have all of these mantra, different things that we do, but we forget to really be clear about what it is that we want. And so that's what this card is. And so intention comes from the roots, intention comes from the heart space, and intention comes from an inner kind of experience of really listening to the guidance, hence all the purple. Is there a difference between these two cards, psychic knowing and intuition? We all are intuitive. Every single one of us is intuitive. Some of us don't listen as well as others, and some of us receive in different ways. So intuition, I think it's important to understand, can come through sensations in the skin. It can come through signs and omens. It can come through clairvoyancy, clairaudience, lots of things like that. And intuition is just that kind of quality that everybody has. And then as we begin to practice and strengthen our skills, we have this sense of psychic knowing, right? So the card on the left is more your high priestess kind of card. And here you have your initiate on the right, who's just beginning to develop these skills. Okay, so that's kind of how I see the difference between those two cards. Reconnect with spirit and inspiration, very kind of similar energies, but the dynamics of the trees are quite different. And so I would really encourage you to kind of listen to that, because the feeling, the sensations you get from these two cards will not be the same. And that yellow ribbon that is flowing through, to me, that is the ego in a really beautiful place. We cannot not have ego, otherwise we wouldn't be able to function in this three-dimensional world. But we can, by connecting with spirit, learn how to navigate much more easily if we continue to live in a place of trust. Okay, so the awakening comes through all of those practices with the third eye. One of my favorites is Tratak. That's an amazing practice, and lots of breath work in the nose, awareness in the nose, awareness in the third eye chakra. And that awakening is the result of practices. So if this card came up and this didn't feel right for you, this would definitely be an encouragement to start some practices for your third eye. And then the wisdom, again, is, so this feels like more seventh chakra kind of stuff. So you have really been doing the work, and you're beginning to listen to all of the messages, and look how solid, right? This is just like this is the most solid tree in the whole deck. So just reflect on that, right? So this is a result of the hard work. There's also age involved here. Years and years and years of practice and adventure. Okay. So we have a few things left on the table that don't necessarily all fit into any particular category, but I'm just going to speak to them. So we have abundance, prosperity, flourish, and expansion. And I really see the card on the right as the Jupiter card. So if you're bringing in astrology to your reading, or this sense of really moving forward in an Eight of Wands kind of way, like this feels so full. Yeah, like this is a major, big yes card. The flourish card to me feels very watery. It feels like moving and expanding with goddess energy. This feels more dynamic. And you, like I said, might see it completely differently. But the language, the associations with different, with astrology or with different teachings that you are familiar with, you know, it might feel different. And then we have abundance and prosperity. So what is the difference here? This one to me speaks of first chakra type of prosperity. So this speaks to pentacles in every way. So everything that is manifest in this world. So money, house, you know, anything to do with what we have that we can see with our eyes. And then we have the red connecting to the root chakra. So that feels very like a strong pentacles card, as opposed to the card on the left, which is abundance in everything. So this is your 10 of cups. This is your 10 of pentacles. You know, this is your... Apparently I've been talking for a very long time. My camera just cut out. So this is abundance in any and all aspects of your life. And we have this beautiful rainbow of colors in the tree. All right, just a few more here. Okay. So I've shown you the chakra cards. Oh, I just love this one. It's just beautiful. If I didn't show you the 6th and the 7th. Okay. I believe this is the back of the cards or the box or something. That's your crown chakra. That's your 1000. So the 1000 petal lotus is really the infinite petal lotus. So I'm sure you're aware of that. These 3 cards feel like fairy deck kind of cards to me. And they speak a little bit differently than the trust cards and that pile that I showed you earlier. Mystery. We have a moon here. There's not a lot of moons. I think there's only 2 cards with moons on this deck. I have another one right here. Okay, so those are the only 2 moons in the deck. So these cards are about allowing that other dimension to come forth. So whether that is through, if you believe in fairies, if you work with elementals, if you work magic, you know, these feel very, these feel like practical magic, if that makes sense to you. So we have mystery, believe, and magic. And then you could bring in moon energy, right? You could bring in moon energy with these 2 cards. So you have a full moon. So that opportunity in the light of the full moon to see everything and to be assured that everything is going to be okay. So this is really your biggest hug card. But what's really interesting, of course, is that in the full moon, sometimes that is not the energy that is reflected, right? The full moon, what comes up is things that we don't want to look at, things that we have avoided, things that we've shoved underneath the rug. But to me, this is about, it's okay to work through those things. It's okay to allow those things to come to the surface. And they don't necessarily have to linger for a long time. You will be able to work through it and move forward, right? This too shall pass. Yeah. And depending on where you live in the world, right, whether you're in the southern hemisphere or the northern hemisphere, this is a waning or a waxing moon. And so you could definitely bring that in to the mystery. This would be great if this came up with the High Priestess card or any of the other moonish cards in the tarot deck. And then we have tranquility, which is so very, very peaceful. This feels like the Star card. This feels like a really, really big and beautiful hug. And we have that beautiful intertwining of heart and throat. Just super, super peaceful. Yeah. All right, almost there. So I have this pile and this pile. So let's just go over here quickly. We have transition, change, rebirth, and transformation. Okay, so you have this real wheel of fortune and, judgment and all of those times of, in the tarot, there's many, many places and steps where we have these opportunities to move through change and begin to transform. Different levels, different layers of unpeeling. And so these might speak to you in different ways, different associations with the tarot. And so we see transitions again and again throughout our life as we do the work with the other chakras, right? So we have birth and then we have rebirth. I could also mention that, so the third dimension that we are in now, so we are birthed into this reality through the womb, through the second chakra, and then the birth of the fifth dimension comes through the purification of the Vishuddhi chakra, so through the throat. So we definitely could place this one at the throat. And then we have this really strong tree. So this to me is the Judgment card, right? We have this transition here that may be more of a Hanged Man kind of card, right? This change here is really, this is about allowing change, right? There's a lot of energy flowing through that one. And then this is the last pile that I wasn't able to really commit to any particular chakra. So let's just have a look at these. So there's balance. And I don't really feel like I need to particularly speak to these. So balance can be conscious practice, or it can be a gift or a result of your hard work. And then we have the heart of the tree. So yeah, this could have definitely been with my pile of heart cards. And play. As I mentioned, I perhaps should have placed this with the second chakra, that sense of really being okay with your sexuality, being okay with sex, being okay with adventure, being okay with playing and having fun, and just knowing that moment when play turns into, when it tips a little too far in one direction. And resistance. So this is very much, now I'm looking at these, I know exactly where each of these cards should go. So I would place this at the third chakra. So this is that pulling back of the ego. The ego is saying, no, I'm not letting go of those reins. I need to know. Do you know the story of the horse and the water? It's a really beautiful story. It's been told in many, many different ways. And that resistance comes from when you drop the reins and you allow the horse to guide you back home when you're lost. It's a really good story. Freedom. So freedom is very much seventh chakra. That's the result of all your hard work and moving through. The possibilities, the potential lives all along. And you can see this looks like veins, right? This thing looks like it's just your whole nervous system. That's what this tree looks like to me. The whole nervous system. So this is, this card is definitely connected through the whole body. This deck is just amazing. There's so much you can do with this deck. You can use it with other tarot decks. You can use it as daily draws, journaling, reflection, meditation, path work. There's so many things. If you're working with Dharma, so Dharma comes up a lot of different points in your journey. And so that Dharma is definitely connected to the root chakra, but it is something that evolves. And so this, you see this wrapping around here of the pink? Important. And that purpose, that Dharma may be defined and redefined as you move through all of this stuff. Earth. So in your healing practice, this is the most important thing, to daily be grounded and daily come back to this, right? So that you have a strong foundation from which to grow and to evolve. Patience, which can be really, really tricky. And be open and unique gifts. And so sometimes we we don't see. I heard a podcast yesterday, was listening to it, and it was just a reminder that, let's just take all of the tarot tubers out there. There's a lot of people with different tarot channels. And why would anybody want to start creating a new tarot channel? Why would you even take that on? Why would you want to become a tarot reader when there's like so many people hanging a tarot shingle in your community? Well, the answer is because you're different. You are unique. You have a different flavor. You have a different way of reading. You have a different perception. All of your experiences, everything that you've learned comes into this very special and unique package. And so never doubt that you have the potential to do whatever it is that you want to do. So thank you very much for sharing this walk through of this beautiful oracle deck, Soul Trees by Alison Williams-yee. And like I said, it's on sale right now. So if you're interested, go check it out at soul-trees.com. Thanks very much for watching. Namaste.